Welcome to Truth Forum, a forum to discuss truth in a friendly surrounding, like we do at home at the kitchen table. I'm your host, Dr. Smith, along with my co-host, Deacon DJ Jones. We will lead compelling, relatable, and honest conversations. We'll talk about wealth, economics, and how to solve our community problems. Our guests will range from community leaders, professionals, and real people whose stories will touch and inspire you. The vision is to catalyze, energize, and bring people together. If you'd like to be a guest at the kitchen table, you may call us at 269-282-1490 or email us at kingdombuildersworldwide2@gmail.com. We are licensed by BMI, so we are allowed to play the songs and the lyrics as is. I'm excited today to introduce to you my spiritual son, Brenton. We call him Brent, but it's Brenton Watkins. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Bishop.
My man. So, Deacon, how you doing first of all, man?
I'm doing pretty good, Bishop. Real good.
Man, I'm excited. I wanted to just start off before we bring on Brother Brent on the show. Again, I want to kind of reiterate what Pastor Terrence Todd wrote us last week, because I'm starting to see the manifestation. I think today's service, I'd rather for you to describe it, more so I describe it, but I thought the move of God was pretty exciting.
It was.
But I want to read what he wrote to us again. This is Pastor Terrence Todd. Whether it was a vision, he saw it in the spirit, he sent this to us, and we both read it last week. Good morning, Bishop. I was awakened by a dream that showed me KBW was going to become a full operation and busy. You were getting messages from outside businesses wanting to join the operation as well to help with your expansion. There were youth as well, just helping to run the stores and the media. You were simply walking around supervising. It was a lot going on there, but it appears that God sent the people to make it all happen. With what the crowd today was amazing.
Yeah, we had a really nice crowd today.
Talk about how I will have Britt talk about it. We came after service, so he can't participate in that subject. He's trying to stay serious. Okay, so okay, Britt, go ahead.
Well, the title of the sermon today was "Rest in Your Truth," and I really like the fact that the story that you brought out, you brought the Bible alive. You related the story of storms. And when trouble's in your way, and when you see a storm coming, which we're living in a storm to this day with the pandemic, the economy. I mean, people have different things that happen in their lives, and you can't forget who to trust in.
Absolutely.
You trust in Jesus,
Absolutely.
and getting to know him and asking him for help, that's the way to go.
And I think that the overwhelm of the people and their excitement,
right.
I think that's some good stuff. And
Absolutely.
I think that's part of the prophetic that Pastor Todd was talking about. I'm going to interview, we're going to ask some questions. Britt and I have come to know each other very well. We may not always be together, but he came to me a while back, and we've just come to work well together and love each other. But before we talk more about Brent, a lot of people have asked me, Bishop, I noticed you haven't said nothing about Black history. And before I even chime in on that response, and matter of fact, I love the messengers say, well, Bishop, why don't you preach about this or talk about this? And I like that, because that tells me that there's an interest involved. They may not always like the subjects, and then they give me subjects they want to think of. But before I talk briefly about my belief in this whole Black history thing and the history, Brent, what's your take on just the whole Black history thing and Black History Month and things of that? What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's important to know your history and how you ended up where you ended up, and the sacrifices that people took to get us to where we are today. So we can be appreciative and know the measures that people took so we can have what we have today. My mother always stressed Black History Month and knowing the things, dates, times, and teaching us the things that we weren't taught in the history books. So it was pretty important.
Give a shout out to your mother.
But yeah, shout out to my mother, Lachelle Burton.
Hi,
AKA
Leshy.
Leshy.
Hi, Sister Lachelle. Can you still shoot that jumper? Okay. Can you still shoot it? Okay. Thank you, Brett. Deacon, what's your thought about it?
You know, Black History Month, is a way to appreciate the accomplishments of Black people in the past and the past present. What I mean by that is, there's a lot of Black folks that are doing good things and accomplishing great things. And I think it's always good to support, the Black business owners. You should do it all the time anyway. But it's just a time to reflect the accomplishments and all the good things that the Black people have done in the past and they have to offer.
So before I share my piece, Brett and also Deacon, what's your response when you hear Black people say we shouldn't have a Black history or we shouldn't celebrate a Black history? Brother Brett.
I guess I need a little clarity on the question.
Well, there's Blacks that have made the comment that I don't agree with Black history. That's just a flat-out statement.
Well, when it's the United States, we're all entitled to our opinion, but if you don't want to end up where you were at, it's important to know where you came from.
Okay. Your thought, Deacon?
I've heard the chitter-chatter going around the country about that, and there was
You call it chitter-chat?
just conversation.
I like that. Chitter-chat.
Chitter-chat.
How you spell chitter-chat?
I have no idea right now.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
I could probably do it, but there was a young man on TV. He was very opinionated about not celebrating February as Black History Month, and every month should be a celebration of Black people. That's where he was coming from. So instead of acknowledging just February, why don't we do it throughout the year? Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and even though we have the coldest month of the year, February, and the shortest, it's always important to let your kids know, where they came from, who their ancestors are, and educate them on Black history, because not everybody is interested in knowing Black history or studying Black history, But I think it's important that you, in your family, in your circle, that you acknowledge, the accomplishments that Black people have done, and try to raise your kids the right way, and let them know who they are and where they came from. I think that's important. So I disagree with the young man that was on TV saying that, he doesn't like the fact that February is Black History Month. And then on the other hand, I kind of agree with what he said about celebrating it all the time.
Well, let's talk about the whole history of it. Carter G. Woodson, 1875, 1950, a Black historian, the originator of the Negro History Week in 1926. So we're talking about a long time. 2002, 22 minus 1926. Okay, do the math. That's a long time. So no doubt the time and the currency and the climate was different. But let's just deal with the roots of this. He believed that appreciating a people's history, as my son here said, was a prerequisite to equality. I have no problem with that. He wrote, if a race has no history, if it has no worthwhile tradition, it becomes an unimportant, insignificant factor in the thoughts of the world. So let's look at why he thought of this. Back in 1926, there was a big difference as 2022. So let me ask you two gentlemen, first of all, what are some of our traditions? Do we have any, Brother Brent?
Traditions as a whole black culture.
I'm assuming, yeah.
During the month of February, what do we do? We don't have any nationwide traditions.
Okay.
It's just known as Black History Month. And some people put up calendars, a Black History calendar. They just recognize it as Black History, but there's no specific custom that I'm aware of.
Good point. That's what that's the whole point.
I'm aware of.
That's the whole point of having this kind of show. Deacon, do we have any tradition that you know of?
Each individual family has traditions as far as, what black people do culturally. I think we all have the same mentality as far as going to church, than our white brothers, and white sisters. But traditionally, I think everybody's a little different.
So I went further by saying, looking at his, and I have great respect for Dr. Carter G. Woodson, but I'm saying today that there is no amount of legislation, meaning you can't pass a law that can grant you equality if a nation doesn't value you. And everything at Kingdom Builder is about value. Brother Brent, you just got promoted into a position because somebody valued you. Yes, you are African American. Are you?
Yes.
Okay. Or you black. Let's just say you black. You black, okay. Unless she's black and your dad's black. You a black man and you got promoted because they value you, correct?
Yes.
Tell me how you got, what you get promoted to?
Well,
I'm going to intertwine your interview along with this whole Black History message.
Well, I was already a licensed assigner through the state, but I was given a whole conference of schools to assign basketball referees for.
Yeah, explain that to them. So you're a referee?
Yes, a licensed referee for the state of Michigan.
For the state of Michigan, okay.
To be able to work in the public school system.
Beautiful.
Okay. Yep.
Black man?
Yes, you have to pass a background check.
Black man?
Yes.
You passed?
Yes.
You brought value?
Yes. You have to be kind of knowledgeable in the area of the sport you're working in. And I achieved my license a couple years ago to be able to sign officials. And I was given a whole conference, meaning all the schools that play against each other. They said, here, Brent Watkins, be the sub-varsity assigner for all the schools. That includes all the middle schools and the high schools.
So again, I'm not degrading or downsizing anything. I'm just saying there's some progression, there's some progress. And I'm going to share more about our past and our present and our future. But we have a young man here that's been promoted, and I think it's because he brought value. Deacon, you are what at Kellogg's?
My title is Senior Process Leader, so I'm pretty much a coordinator.
You a senior process leader. So there are some people up under you.
Yes.
You're a black man.
Yes.
You bring value to Kellogg's, and they hired you. So our tradition becomes celebrating Brent Watkins, celebrating Deacon Doug Jones. Excuse me, y'all, I've lost my voice, and so forgive me if I'm sounding a little different. But I need y'all to understand that. As Black history, these are the things that I believe Carter G. Woodson was referring to. Now, he said, so before I give you my thought, let's talk about why I still think it's needed, even though I don't per se have special programs like I did when I was younger. In Terre Haute, Indiana, when I was first pastoring in 1990, I had a Black History program faithfully. And we dressed up and we went through the whole thing. But there's a social construct that is in America. It purposely purposely created ideas developed by one group. Now, I'm not going to even talk about that group. It was just a group with authority that defines another group with lesser authority, and the social construct framed the perception of other groups. So the perception says he cannot be in the elevator with what, Deacon? What's that social construct? What is that conversation that a black man cannot be inside of an elevator with who?
Someone who's white.
Someone who's white. That was a social construct. I'm trying to help you understand what a social construct is. And that mindset began to be infused in social norms, in practice, in legal, in education, in financial, and in interpersonal relationship. That's the construct that we're fighting against. So what we have to do is we are people who believe in looking past current problems to find solutions. So how long have you been seeking this kind of position, or was it just something brand new that came to you, Brent, and you just wanted to do it? Was it part of a vision of yours?
Yes, to become a state license assigner and actually issue the contract to do it, yes, for several years.
Were you ever denied before?
No, because I didn't make the attempt to.
What made you decide now than the other times?
The availability of the position, which is usually held by someone for a lifetime.
Okay, like a judge.
Yes.
So a door opened up,
Yes.
and we got to give God credit for that.
Yes.
God
Okay.
opened the door, and Brent was in the position with the credentials to walk in the door. Beautiful thing. Deacon, did you just start off as a supervisor?
When I started off at Kellogg, I was actually a process leader, and then became training coordinator / process leader. Position opened up, I got promoted, and I've been in that position ever since. So it's pretty much I'm responsible for, I call it from the cradle to the grave, making sure that projects are start on time and they end on time. That's my job. And I have process leaders that I schedule to run the trials.
Okay.
So it was a position that was available. It opened up, and I was asked to apply, so I applied for it.
You were asked to apply.
I was asked to apply for it.
And the person that asked you, can you remember if that person was white or black?
They were white.
The white person. And I don't want nobody to think I'm naive, because I know it exists. But I'm also trying to get us to look at the positive side to life, mainly when you have God on your side. He was qualified. We got to become qualified to get in the game. Looking past current problems to find solutions. So they asked me, so Bishop, are you saying you don't do anything, you don't honor it? My reply was, I do it 365 days in a year. And to be honest about it, February may be the only month I may intentionally not speak on it. And there's a reason why. And tell me how y'all feel about it. This is a talk show. We agree to disagree. We're brothers, we're family, we love each other. And that's what makes a relationship so great. You don't have to always agree. The worst thing about intelligent people, we're not intelligent if only your side has to be truth. We should all seek for truth. And then once we all seek truth, then we all agree. But conversation is about everybody sharing their experience, searching for truth. I'm a firm believer that we should not regulate our history to just 1 month. So what that young man was saying, I kind of agree with that. I believe that black history is American history. What you think about that, Brett? Do you believe that black history is American history?
I believe it's United States history. I don't believe in just the word America. I'm strong on that because there's people in South America, Central America. So as a United States citizen, yes, I agree with that.
Okay, you believe that black history is United States history?
Yes.
Cool. I can live with that. Dig it?
You know, I believe that, we should still keep February as Black History Month, but continue to celebrate black people throughout the year.
Okay.
Was there another question in that?
Well, no. I just like hearing the discussion.
So I don't disagree. I disagree with not having February as Black History Month, but I agree with what he said as far as celebrating black accomplishments and black history throughout the whole year. When we were in school, I mean, there was black literature and in high school, and it was Reverend Towns that taught that, and there was black history. And I don't think that exists anymore in the schools.
So what month is white history?
Let me see, January, March, April, May, June. No, I'm just kidding. There is nothing that acknowledges a white history month.
What month is Jewish history?
July, August, September, October.
What is Hispanic history?
There is no Hispanic History Month.
Right.
Okay. There's a day that they celebrate, but it's not a month. Okay. Chanel said August.
Chanel said August, you guys.
Okay.
So August is Spanish month. Okay. Well, I kind of believe that Black history is what you would say, United States history. Because everywhere, everything, though it's been painted, though it's been distorted, given new names, they bear our prints just the same. That's why I don't get mad when people say, well, they just erased some stuff. But I know it was there. We were the first to write, the first to read. This is Bible. Humanity sprang from our black seed. See, when you know your history, it's okay. I think the fear is when you don't. My people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. When you don't know a subject, then you become very fearful. We made the serpent the symbol of the healing art. You see that in the medical doctor. That came right from the continent. Even George Washington Monument is a copy of the Egyptian Tekhenu. What am I saying? The central government in Egypt was known as the White House. So here's my belief before I bring on Brother Brent and ask some pretty deep questions. Black History Month is not about past. It's about the past and the present that can authorize a better future. My son is a coach at a great collegiate school. My daughter is practicing law. Black. You see? Mm-hmm. That's a better future, right? And I'm looking for my grandchildren to do better than that. Brett is in a key position to help people, and so are you. That's Black history to me. Mm-hmm. That's American history. A lot of folks disagree. I get that. I respect that. Rich history of people, black folks moving into the present with the vision for the future. And so here's my 3 dimension of time. What is it, y'all? It's past, it's present, and it's future. Mm-hmm. And they all go together. Mm-hmm. What I got a problem with is I never did crack before. But crack has a pipe, right? Mm-hmm. My problem is that symbolic crack pipe where we dress up in 1 month and act like we all Africans and we all go around acting like we love each other, and then March come and we only speak to each other in the supermarket. Britt. I mean, what do you think about that? We all come together, black power. We love each other, but then when it's over, we stop. We go to all these events, and sometimes we allow our Caucasian friends to honor us at that moment and praise us. That's what I got a problem with. I got a problem with that symbolic stuff where we celebrate just some accomplishments versus. Now, do I think kind of like you? Yeah, because there's certain evils in the world, I do think we have to keep stressing black love, history, and those things. I do agree with that.
I agree with you, Bishop. It's about what we've done now, what we're gonna, and where we're going, and I also think it's important too to make sure that the young ones, the kids, the middle schoolers and the elementary school kids, understand as they grow old, black history, because again, it's not taught in school. So where are they going to hear it from, other than their family or ancestors?
Okay.
About their ancestors, but no, I do agree with you. We should not just look at Black History Month, February, and we all come together and we celebrate black accomplishments and all these different things, and then come March, we can't even say hi to each other.
Fight each other like
that's foolish.
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 So I'm going to bring to you our guest. Part of Black history is the why he and I came together. My history, my ancestors. Somebody reached out to me. The Reverend Clifton V. Bullock, Vernon Bullock, my mentor. He taught me all this social stuff. I can't really take too much credit for what we're doing at Kingdom Builders without the anointing and the gift of Reverend Clifton Bullock. He took me in at Washington Heights Community Ministry. He hired me. I became the job developer. Then I became one of his personal aides. We the one that brought Grand Trunk to the city of Battle Creek. And some of you are still working there because of the vision of Reverend Bullock. Then I had the spiritual leader, Bishop James Edison Tyson. Wow, a mentor. Taught me how to be a man, the spiritual side, loving, compassion, all those things. I had my biological father. Taught me a lot of practical stuff. Taught me what I should and should not do. Always be confident. Never bow your head down. Always stand up for yourself. And then, of course, my mom, she's just who she is, always there. I mean, those are mentors. I saw from a distance. Mr. Bill Boards, great man. Black strength, store owner. Helen Montgomery. That's what I saw coming up. I saw men like that, Bishop Space. And so one day I was working out, and a young man came up to me, just started having conversation with me. Been wounded, been hurt in the past, kind of a little distant from the church. Didn't really want to, I don't know what he wanted. But because of those men and women I just mentioned, that's what made me respond to him. I wanted to respond to him like those men did in my life, which was Brent. Brent and I, you remember we were at Planet Fitness? Remember that?
Yeah.
Planet Fitness. And that's when we started talking. And we built a relationship ever since. And so I'm very proud of him. But I want to bring out some stuff because you never know everybody's story. He has a remarkable story, which is far greater than you could put in the book. And maybe one day he should. I want him to be transparent, but just say what he feel like saying. He don't want to reveal nothing. He doesn't have to. But Brent, share with us the experience of the day you had to save families or friends, but through saving family and friends, you encompass or receive several burns and maybe possible your own life. Why did you even do that?
Never really talked about it publicly, so. Well, you can overall say that I was a family man. I only know what I was taught. You take up for your brothers and sisters. You make sure they're okay. We did what we had to do that night. Thank God everybody survived. April 9, 96, that was like a turning point, both good and bad, for my entire family. And so those little burn marks and the little 10 days I spent in Bronson Burn Unit, I thank God that we came out okay. But I was glad my brothers was alive. That's it. That's all that mattered. That's what counts. So, it's unfortunate. A lot of times that doesn't happen. And being in a burn unit, I was in a lot of pain, but I thank God that I wasn't dealing with some of the stuff some of those other people were. There's people that lost limbs. They were flying in kids from like Ohio. I just couldn't wait to get out of there, get home. Well, get the Stofers, that's where you're staying. So, I'm just thankful for that. That's what I think on. I don't really, I guess I don't stress on it. Just little burns and face. I was in the process of playing on a AAU team. That was a nationals. I just made the team the night before. So I was actually gonna get to play against my opponents. My mom drove me over to Kalamazoo every day for these tryouts. So she had to call him back and tell him I wouldn't be playing. So one of my high school rivals, I was supposed to play ball with. We had a 4-year going rival, and we was actually gonna play ball together, and that didn't happen because of the fire. But through relationships, he was able to help me get some players looked at by some college coaches. We still have a good relationship to this day. I thank God for that. We became kind of close since that, especially the last 15 years. We talk quite frequently. What if we would have got a chance to play? So, you would have actually played with us. But those things, I think God looked out for the better, because my relationship's a lot better with people through that incident.
So let me ask you this. What I've come to know working with you, you got this real passion for these kids. And you'll call me up and say, Bishop, this person need to be in the program. They don't have too much. Bishop, we got to get them in. And you'll go pick them up, and you'll go, and I know this information, but I'm going to ask you to answer the question, and then we'll continue on. You have no children of your own, correct?
No.
So these are just children. Some may be relatives, some not. What is it that drives you to be that concerned about these children when some turn it back on you or whatever? What's moving you to go forward?
Both my grandmothers, I never heard telling them anybody no when it comes to the kids.
Say that louder, man. Hey, we know you got a loud
Both
voice.
of my grandmothers.
Today uses indoor voice.
Both of my grandmothers, who lived around the corner for each other for years, never told any child no. Okay? So it's just not my family. This is just the truth. To be honest with you, at one point in time, we were struggling very bad financially. We wanted to go to the water park. My mother was working at Washington Heights as a counselor. Yvonne was her boss. She said, I don't have the money for them to go. Times were hard. Yvonne let us go anyway. She was the camp supervisor. She was the overall of counselors.
Go, Sister Yvonne.
To that day.
That's my cousin.
And
that's my cousin.
yes.
It's my cousin too.
Continue, sir.
And I thanked them for that at that time, because my mother always tried to find a way to find it. She gonna make sure her kids is okay. And that when y'all haircut.
Yeah, she did. She did.
You're gonna make sure y'all have on some decent attire.
Yeah.
And you're gonna make sure your hygiene right.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna be disrespectful or make me look bad.
Yeah.
And the second person that I still ride with him, because I feel he's still watching over, is Reverend Perry. We was going to Sunday
Reverend
school.
Perry, respect Reverend Perry. That's another black history. I can't say he was the first, because I think his name was Reverend Mr. Patton, but he was definitely one of the major black funeral directors in the city of Battle Creek. I think Pat may have been first, but he brought in a new art from Detroit. He had some style about himself. Reverend Louis T. Perry, we salute him as an ancestor and in honor of black history. So thank you for bringing his name up. Continue on.
Well, throughout the time, I had a good relationship with his son. He got me the job cutting grass when I was 12 years old at the funeral home, which I still work at to this day. Reverend Dr. Louis T. Perry, my mother didn't have the money for us, my brother and I, to go to Cedar Point. They was taking a trip. It was like $30. You got to take the bus, go everything. My mom just thought I didn't have it. And I remember somebody went and told him, let him go, let him go. That's how he did. That's the way he taught. Let him go to the trip. They ain't missed no trip over that money. I paid for it myself. He let us go.
Let him go.
I've been with him in his building since.
Which is very, very true. So, y'all let me know my time. So, Brent, you have been a very amazing, unique person. Because everybody sometimes think you get manipulated or you be brainwashed like Deacon, and he's not. Deacon is his own man. 22, right? Minutes? All right. So what made you come here, and how did you connect with me, and what was it that brought you here, man? Because you were a part of a different generation, and I think that the church kind of leaders, your generation kind of lost respect or belief in them. What was it that got you back and made you place your hat at Kingdom Builders under our leadership?
I'll tell you a big thing is this,
Talk loud, man. Take it. Yeah.
Since Tiffany, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking too. Since Tiffany and Yvonne was part of the organization, I had no idea that they was your family at the time.
Your Tiffany's like our baby cousin. She's way down there. She's a baby. Keep going.
They good people. They family to me.
Yeah, they good people.
Neighborhood.
Yeah. She bragged on you about cutting the grass. I remember. But keep going. Keep talking.
Tiffany's best friends with my sister growing up, was doing exceptionally well. Then you had, I never really said this, DJ. I've always admired DJ.
The guy to your right.
Yes.
Deacon DJ Jones had a pretty jump shot back in the day. Can't even touch the nets right now. Keep going.
I'm going to quote my cousin Lamar Hubbard over there, what he said about Aaron Cusey. I never seen anybody say they didn't like DJ. DJ always reminds me of one of my close cousins named Larry Henry.
Larry Henry, the bowler.
Yes.
Left hand Larry Henry. Larry Henry, salute to you, man. Keep going. Your turn, sir.
He reminds me of his attitude. So when I needed advice on things, since DJ's locker is always at the Y Center, so we officiate together, I would ask him certain things. And we've been to Men's Fitness Center at the Y Center. That's why it's important to be in that environment, so you can ask somebody that's older to been through it. He gave me a lot of advice. He was always kind to me. So in that image, those are the people I want to be around. So here it is, we have all these people here, and a few other people that may not be here presently, but my cousin Bobby Palmer. There's not too many men in the family that I look at, that I trust, that I respect, and have always given me 100%, and are from that older generation. He was quite close with my grandmother before her passing, so I honestly said, if all these people was here, and then Bishop see me walking down the street, I was ready to walk down the street to go to Claude Evans to go referee, you stopped and gave me a ride. Gave me a ride, dropped me off, don't be late, get in the car. We go down to Claude Evans. So all of these things adding up. Then people talking about the spiritual growth and development class on Wednesdays. I started going. Never told me wrong so far. So all of those things happening, and if I'm already searching and it start adding up, I'm gonna be foolish and not really take a look at everything that's falling into place that I've been asking for. We need a gym to practice. Bishop provided. We couldn't get a car at a certain rental place. Called Bishop, Bishop took care of it. What can I say? Everything's adding up. So the only thing in my job is to do is take advantage of everything that's been placed in front of me that I asked for. You said you wanted this food, that was up to me to eat it. So everything's working out. Everything's a good environment.
Good.
What's wrong?
Good.
Nothing. Everything's going right. Not used to that.
That's a beautiful thing. Deacon, what you think about that?
I think that's good, man. I mean,
Did you know he thought that much of you?
You know, I knew Brent had a lot of respect for me, and I got respect for Brent also. We do conversate. Brent would always, you know, when it was convenient or when he had a question, he would always ask, whether it was about, you know, refereeing or whatever. But no, I didn't know that he admired me like that, so I appreciate that, Brent. It means a lot, and I'm glad I could assist or give you the advice, and you took it, and hopefully it was helpful. You know.
So
Very helpful. Very helpful.
he mentioned some few names, and so since we are honoring Black history, I don't care about their past, or do I even care about their demise, how the demise happened. Let's name a few men and women alive, no longer with us, that we want to honor. I want to first mention, I've already mentioned the Billboards, the Reverend Bullocks, the Bishop Space, the Reverend Youngs, but I want to mention from a sports, being a young man, we had a hockey coach and a baseball coach. Both of their children was my personal friends, Brian Fullerton and Christopher Dean. Morris Fullerton was our baseball coach, and Evan Hannon. They would take us, and we'll go play Lamar Park, what is it called? Lamar Park against Lamar. Lamar is with the white boys.
Okay.
Don't know how that happened, but Lamar Park, am I saying it right? Lamar Park was on that side, and Dean and Morris Fullerton would bring us and taught us how to play baseball, man. And I'll never forget that. So Mr. Fullerton is still living, Morris Fullerton, so we celebrate him. The late Bobby Dean is no longer here. We celebrate him. And Eben Hammond, so we thank you three for giving me an opportunity at Dudley School to be in sports and to learn a privilege that many didn't learn. Who you want to give a shout out to?
It's three people I want to give a shout out to real quick. First is my grandfather, Jesse Fondren.
Yes,
That's
sir.
my mom's dad.
Yes.
And Grandpa Jesse is what we always called him. And Grandpa Jesse was one of a group of people in Detroit who got the first black bowling league started in Detroit. He's got tons and tons of trophies and stuff. I have them at my house today, plaques and all kind of things. So Jesse Fondren. And the second person is my dad.
Absolutely.
Roosevelt Jones. Some people know him as Orville. His nickname was Rosie. They called him Rosie Jones, but his real name was Roosevelt. Orville has nothing to do with his name, but he just kind of grew up people calling him Orville. My dad was a great man. Still is a great man.
Yes,
Excuse
sir.
me.
Yes, sir.
Is a great man. Worked all his life. He owned a couple of businesses. You know, he worked at Eaton's, Kellogg's. He had Industrial Park Rebuild. He did home inspections. My dad did everything. And growing up, that was my Superman.
Yes, sir.
That was my guy. And to this day, he still is. We have conversations to this day, and he cracks me up.
Okay.
You know, but I love my father. The third person I want to give on to is my mother, Judy Jones, Judith Carroll Jones. And not a mean bone in her body. You know, Mom, she would beat the mess out of us when we messed up when we was kids, and I thank God for that. Because anytime we got out of line, she would raise that hand. And people that know my mom would say, not Mrs. Jones. Yeah, Mrs. Jones. But you know what? I thank her for that.
Yeah.
I thank her for that.
How about you, Brett? Anybody you want to throw out there? You've already mentioned Reverend Perry, but you got any names?
Well, I'd like to say this. A lot of these get overlooked. You know, of course, I want to thank my mom, Michelle Burton, father, Brian Watkins, you know, my grandmothers, but there's a lot of people that play big roles in my life. You know, Reverend Hughes at the funeral home. He's really taught me a lot about business. right after Reverend Perry passed away in 1996. He showed us how about responsibility, and he's done a lot for my family too. So, and I want to thank Janice Witcher for always being there. It didn't matter what we needed. She tried to get to kids where they needed, you know, other people's kids. There's never been a time I couldn't call her and she wouldn't try to help with something, not just funeral home stuff. You know, tell her, hey, Jan, I messed up. Can you talk to the credit people? I didn't pay my credit card on time. Those type of things. She's able to fix it. You know, you call Jan, she can fix it. So those are some people that I wanted to really thank. You know what I mean? I wanted to thank my Aunt Dara and Debbie. They've been very supportive of me. So is my mom's sisters, you know, Tuck Burton, Thera Burton, and Thurston Burton. A lot of people have been supportive of me. So I'm blessed for that because a lot of people don't have that.
So we want to remember, not sure if anybody commenting, if you want to give a shout out to somebody during the feed, just throw their name out and we celebrate them. But remember, we want to go back to if Dr. Carter G. Woodson concept was if a race has no history, if it has no worthwhile tradition, it becomes unimportant. Our goal in life is to never become unimportant. And you will never become unimportant if you continue to bring value. Mm-hmm. When you bring value, you're important. Whether you bring value to loving your parents, I make it a point to talk and visit my mother. I bring value to her because she brings value to me. We have to remember that. Folks getting shot. How do we stop that? Bring value. We cannot, Dr. King said that you cannot regulate a man's heart. So you can create legislation. But the Holy Spirit has the ability to change a man's heart. The reason why I don't just separate, because we have some white people that are friends, that are supportive, and that are in the trenches with us. Mm-hmm. And I'm a believer in that. Steve Frisbee, a friend of mine, he bringing value to us by offering opportunities to be working with the, what's it called, EMT?
EMTs.
EMT. You didn't have to do it. That's a white man. He is the chairman of the Calhoun County. Mm-hmm. I called him my white brother from another mother. Yeah, yeah. And he wanted me to be able to bring this opportunity to a bunch of people. Why? Because it could change their life. Mm-hmm. That's relationship. Our mayor, Mark Beakey, he just celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday to Mark. He came and replaced all the windows at the church. Most of them. Mm-hmm. Bringing value. Why did he do that? He was bringing value because he saw value. He's the mayor of the city. That's the building that's helping his community. Always bring value. Mm-hmm. And you'll go far in life. If there's a message to Black History today, is make sure you're bringing value. How much are you worth? And I'm not just talking about in currency. I'm talking about if you leave this world today, will anything shut down? Will people suffer? Obviously, Dr. King brought a whole lot of value because he got a statue. Mm-hmm. He got a national holiday. And therefore, how can you not hold on to a dream that he said, it's my dream that one day my Black children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Then he said, I have a dream. Chime onto that, Deacon. Chime onto that, Brother Brent. What's my time looking like, y'all? 7 minutes. So our time is about up. Somebody want to chime on Dr. King, chime on Black History, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Adam Clayton Powell. Those are all great men. I stood on all their shoulders. I studied all of them. I didn't need Black History class. I'm not sure if it was taught or not, Deacon, but I made sure I learned it because I knew what I was in the mirror. And I made sure my children understood. They know who they are. They work in the world, but they know who they are.
Right. That's important. That's important. Dr. King was a trailblazer. He had a vision.
Yeah.
And it'd been nice to see him still alive to this day, so we could see some of the things that he wanted to see come to pass. A lot of great men, a lot of great, black men have done a lot of great things. And again, I mentioned it before, and it would really be a good thing, I think, for our children if we had that, that black literature curriculum or class in school.
So let's create that. Let's create that. Let's do that, Deacon. Let's make that a part of one of our tasks in 2022.
We really should.
Let's make that a part.
Because it was interesting.
Brent, what you want to say before our time is up? Go ahead. So what you want to say? Give us something out.
For Facebook?
No, you just go ahead. Give me something. You say something. And you want to close out. We have about 3 more minutes.
I agree with you on the black literature. Mr. Townsend did a good job of shutting that door and talking to everybody the way they need to be talked to, and the information that he provided just wasn't in the book, but we need to get back to that, I think, to be all right. 100% on that.
Absolutely. There's one comment here, if you want me to go ahead and read it before we go. This is from Tony Banks. I want to shout out my former roommate, Dr. and Bishop Tino Smith, who inspired me to stretch myself in my walk with God back when we were young men in the church. My hometown in Gary, Indiana, and back in the 80s, the place was the #1 murder capital in the world. My friend encouraged me to be an upright citizen in this world.
That's a good friend of mine, y'all. That's Brother Tony, Dr. Banks. He's a comedian also. Great husband, great family, wonderful children. Matter of fact, he's a gospel/comedian. We're gonna bring him to Battle Creek, y'all. You would just love him. He and I was roommates, and thank you for that, man. Thank you for sharing that. All love to you, Brother Tony. Great friend of mine. Love you for that. Hey, you guys, it's about that time. Always remember, y'all, that a change is coming, and the change is happening. And one of the things you're supposed to have as a people, if you're going to network with power. See, power means you can change the trajectory of a situation. I don't care how I was born. I don't care where I came from. When you get power, you can change the trajectory and become great. We shall overcome. We have overcome. We will overcome. Everybody should have a map so you know where you are. In your home, get a globe. Get a map. Let the people in your family know this is where we are. This is where we trying to go. You got to know what time it is. You got to know more than the present time. You should know your past. You should know your present. You should know your future. Where I get that from, Bishop? Issachar, chapter 12, 32, of the sons of Issachar who understood the time to know what Israel ought to do. I close by acknowledging my ancestors. First of all, my Aunt Mary. She just celebrated her 96th birthday. Love you, Aunt Mary. 96. Yay! That's my grandmother, baby sister. My grandmother's no longer with me. That's my maternal grandparents. Ruby Elizabeth Perry and Leo Del Perry Sr. And of course, they are the parents of my Wonder Woman. She's my greatest inspiration in Black history, my mother. And then Edward West Smith and Gussie Smith. That's my paternal grandparents. They taught me so much by just watching them. And then they produced my father, the father that taught me, keep your head up. Don't let nobody see you sweat. And that's why I taught my kids. Don't ever let nobody see you sweat. You're going to hurt, but keep on. I love them all. Thank you, family. Thank you, Britt. Thank you, DJ, for a wonderful show. Put our hands together. Let's pray together. Father, in Jesus' name, I thank you for this program. I thank you for the city of Battle Creek. I thank you for our viewers. Bless our town. Bless us in a special way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.